We look at the pre-scene case study that you have here, okay, and the case that you have here is basically about Athletic Transcentral, AT, which is a football club. Okay, you have a football club, and this brings into the area of what we call game business development, gaming and football clubs and all that. Let's look at the introduction here. Introduction here, Athletic Transcentral Football Club. Okay, that's the name of the club that you have. So this one is basically Transcentral Football Club. Okay, is basically a club which kind of plays, let me just make it, it's a football club which is basically something that plays in, hold on. Right. When we say football club and football soccer, you may want to understand how this is being done by maybe downloading a game for football for online to test out yourself to understand how the games are played. If you're not very clear with the game, especially if you are completely blur about it, you can download a game called Football Manager to get an idea of what it is you are looking at. Okay, that might be one that you can consider. Okay, so you can consider using the Football Manager as a possible idea game. You can download this game and play it out. I just play a few times. You should know how to play the game after that. Okay, which plays in a football league of Thailand, okay, a country in the continent of Oceania. So Thailand is like UK, Oceania is like Europe. The club is owned by Atlantic Transcentral. Okay, this is important because you do have something here, Atlantic Transcentral Co., a company which has sole objective of operating a football club. So this company's only job is just this is their objective. Okay, Atlantic Transcentral Football Club has been successful in the past. This is an important indicator. In the past, this is maybe something to do with the heritage and also part of cultural web. Remember, this cultural web is there. Past is very important when you deal with things, and you need to remember your cultural web, which I will also flash as we go through. So you need to know what is the cultural web, where the cultural web is situated, and whether things can affect the business. But has increasingly struggled to compete with other leading clubs in KLN. Now, when we say this one has increasingly struggled to compete, okay, what does that mean that this company is struggling? So right now, they are not really effective. So, not really effective. Possible strategic drift or flux issue. So you might have something to do with the strategic drift idea that you studied before. And in this case, we can say that the company might be having some kind of issues in terms of their strategy because they cannot sustain their approach anymore. So that could be one of the theories you're supposed to be aware of. I hope you still remember that theory. We just look at this theory over here, and you can see things like the strategic drift, which is this diagram here, and seeing like whether the company's strategy is correct or wrong might be something you have to consider. So that's an idea whether their strategy meets the environment or they are no longer within the environment. So that's over here, we can put that there. For simplicity, the company and the club will be referred to as a single entity, AT. So whether in this pre-scene and the exam, so that means whether they are referring to the club or the company is the same, they consider it the same entity. Right. We're now going to look at the football sector information. Okay, you have all this information that's coming up. And one of the idea here in KLAN, the sports of football, well, we know the sports of football. In football, the results of matches are determined by number of times a team puts the ball in the net, opposition scoring goal. Teams win matches by scoring more goals than opposition, draw matches when the two teams score an equal number of goals, and football is played by, okay, you know the situation, you win as long as you got a higher goal score, and you are draw otherwise. You got two outcomes there. Now it's quite important because wins get you points in the league tables, and wins and draws, remember. So you need to know about that part. Okay, wins and draws gets you points in the league table, and losses scores no points. Teams win match by scoring more goals. Okay. Football is played by men's, women's, and children team under 18 years. Now this is kind of important because it highlights to you the fact that there are two kinds of departments. Okay, just remember, there are two kinds of departments here. So I would say be careful with this part. There are two departments here. What are the two departments here? So here you can see there is a segment. Okay, you can say segments, product, or we can say product groupings. Okay, we can say product grouping. You got the men's, you got the women's, and you got under 18. Okay, that is the product grouping, and you want to see assessment, performance, portfolio position. You know, you may want to consider portfolio position in terms of BCG. So I want to highlight that it's possible things that you can consider in terms of how you are performing in these levels to see how things are going. Football clubs operate at professional and recreational level. At professional level, players are full-time employees of football club. So we know that there are professional football and recreational football. Those are the two types of clubs that you have. Now, the sector itself. Okay, let's look at the sector itself. When we say the sector, most professional clubs in KLAN run men's and women's first, reserve second, and under 18 team. Okay, there are basically 4 teams here. Okay, the first team includes the club's best players. The reserve team contains players who can be called upon to replace players in the first team. That's your backup. Each team has a manager in charge of it, and each team has also has coaching and other support staff. So we can then say you have a few points here in terms of business, how you are arranging the business. Okay, you got a manager, you got also very important, you have a manager here. Remember, you have a manager here, and also each team also has coaching and support staff. These are things that you have to consider. Well, this looks like your operational level performance, isn't it? You're looking at your business, and you look at business and say, like, you have a factory, and for a factory you have production manager, and the production manager has production lines. Inside there you got supervisors, and then below there you got workers. So something like that. You have the manager, you have the support staff, and you have the team there, the team of players. Okay. 5 professional clubs have their own academics. Okay, this is very important. 5 professional clubs. Academies recruit players from the age of 9 upward and take structured approach to their football, personal, educational development with ultimate aim of producing first team player. Players recruited by academics have more time to play and be coached than players in under 18 teams without academics. So right now we can see there are potential resource issues that you should be aware of. Let's think about the resource issue you are looking at. So when we say resource issues, so we have resources here. And they're already highlighting one resource issue for you is basically you have 4 types of teams. What's the 4 types of teams? The 4 types of teams that you have includes your, remember, your men's, you got also your reserve for the men. Okay, then you have the woman, and you have the last one, under 18. Okay, now to get the players, you already know that this 4 teams have some kind of structuring. Okay, remember they have some kind of structuring. What are the structures that these teams have? Well, the teams have a kind of structuring, and the structuring includes they have a manager, they have support staff. So remember, we have they have a support staff. They also have another one inside there. What's the other one they have there? The other thing that they have is going to be, they say they have support staff, they have coaching staff. So remember, they have also got a coaching staff. So you can say that there is a grouping of people that come along in the site to support the business. Now, the resources itself, where they're going to get these resources. Okay, let's make sure you know where they're getting the resources from. These resources, they are getting it from, they said they can get it, of course they can look for talent hunting. Okay, that's one they can do. Or they can do have an academia, and they said that 5 of them, we don't know whether this is one of the 5 that have this academia, but you need to be aware of this issue. Just remember, you should be aware of this issue, that they may have some academics involved. Okay, we'll have that one going in a while. So let's get back to this part. So under 18, under 9, so remember this is under 9, this is academics, and the target do remember they target under 9 years. Just remember, they are targeting under 9 years for you. So you should be aware of this idea that there are people who are below 9 years there and under 9 years, and they are looking at improving the quality there. So here, recruit from 9 upwards. So 9 above, 9 years and older, 9 years and older. Okay, that's one of the talents they can get from. They can, of course, find the other talent, but that's one of the areas they're getting talents. Now, players recruited by academics have more time to play. Coach under 18s of clubs without academics. This is one of the areas that you have to consider whether the company should even bother about setting up an academics as a means. So should the company even think about? So here is a big question for you here. So this could be one of the questions here. Should we even consider setting up one of these things? Is it worthwhile to set up this idea? So you can consider asking yourself, yeah, this looks like a possible area. Is it worthwhile to set up? The next one, first team players have generally moved up from other teams at the same club or have been transferred in from other clubs. So you got two things here. Either they move up, promoted, or when players are transferred between clubs, a transfer fee is payable to the club selling the player by the club buying the player. Transfer fees for the best players can be very large. So we know the players can come in from different sources. Okay, let's look at this part. So you might have players coming in, talent hunting, and you got transfer in, then you got fee. You can also have, remember, you may also have transfer out. So you might have this place here, and you can talk about the resources transfer in, transfer out for good players, and you have fee to be charged, fee earned, and you can get a gain or loss on this situation. That's the basic idea there. Okay. Now, transfer fees are best can be realized. The most important driver for profitability for professional clubs is the performance of their men's first team in KLN Football League and international competition. So we already know that this team is the one that's most important. So we can just put this this team on this side. Okay, this team, remember, it is kind of supported by the reserve team. Okay, and also the under 18. But the most important one is how this team performs. Whether they perform in local or they perform in so either in local or international competitions. That's basically what's going on. Now let's move on to the next part. The sector information. This is called the league, like the European League or the First League or Malaysian League and all that. Those are the leagues, football leagues that you have. Now, KFL has 3 divisions for clubs, men's first team. Okay, each division has 18 teams in it. The league season lasts from August to May. This is kind of important because you have some information here that there is a period of August to May, which kind of means after May till August, stadiums not used. Okay, so there is some free time there. Okay, May till August to May. Okay, now each team play each other in the league twice each season, once each at each stadium. So home stadium, away stadium. Teams earn 3 points for winning a match, 1 point for draw, and no points for losing a match. Okay, that's basically scoring. At the end of each season, the 2 teams with the fewest points, this is very important, okay, this is very critical, the two teams with the fewest point, okay, this one, critical, will get relegated. This is a critical idea. I want you to pay attention to this information. Here, a little bit more. I'll just change the color. Okay, you got to be careful with that one. At the end of each season, the two teams with the fewest points are relegated. For each of Division 1 and 2 of KFL, the play in the next division down in the following season. So, if you are the last two teams, you can get relegated. The two teams with the most points are promoted for each Division 2 and 3 and play in the next division up in the following season. So, what happens here is something like this. You are having three divisions. So here you got Division 1, you got you got three divisions for the men. Remember, three divisions for the men. Each one, remember, each one has each division has 18 teams. So you do need to know there are 18. 18. 18. 18. There are 18 teams. And each team plays each other 2 times. Remember, there are 2 matches for each team to fight with. Okay, that's basically going to be times 2. Those are times 2 for each. That's the number of games being played. Got it? That's the number of games being played. And so you already know how much is the number of games played each of that period from that May, August season. All right. So we know the number of games played, and remember, if you are the teams with the most points, you get promoted. The ones with the least points will get demoted. Teams can be relegated downwards for serious breaches. Okay, here is another point you have to pay attention to, because they can get breached. Serious breaches means you need to ensure compliance. Not only must you play well, compliance to KFL regulation is very critical, okay, including financial misconduct. So there's also the financial compliance requirements. So you got 2 types of requirements that you must be aware of when you handle this one. Teams who win a division are awarded a trophy and prize money. Teams which are promoted to next division may benefit from increased sponsorship and income from TV. So we know that you move up the ladder, you're going to get certain things. So here, you move down the ladder. Let's say the word here. You go down the ladder. You go down. When you go down, okay, you go down if you are the last 2 teams in each division, okay? You are also the one who breaches the so you can move down the ladder. Now, that's the breach. Now, going up the ladder has a benefit. What's the benefit for going up the ladder? So when you go up, okay, when you go up, the benefits are you're also promised more sponsorship. Right, you have those ideas here, more sponsorships. Okay, that's basically it. Clubs in Division 1 of KFL have supporters not just in KLN but worldwide. So Division 1 also benefits from worldwide support. So this one you can say Division 1 has worldwide support. Like, you know, Liverpool or Manchester United and all that, they are worldwide support. Okay, that's basically the points that you see here. The next point, domestic cup competition. Now, as well as the league, all teams in KFL play a domestic cup competition within KLN. This consists of rounds of one-off matches between two teams randomly drawn against each other, with the winner progressing to the next round until the last two teams remain and play. So this is one more competition that they have. So they have the, remember, they have the KLN Football League, okay, and also you also have the domestic cup. So lowest teams from Division 1 and 2 lowered to Division 3, highest points Division 2 and 3 promote. No, it doesn't go that way actually. How it goes is Division 1 lowest goes to Division 2, Division 2 highest 2 go to Division 1. Division 3 lowest highest will go to Division 2, Division 2 lowest will go to Division 3. So they just relegate and relegate up or down one time. They don't get moved up to Division 3 straight you don't jump from Division 3 to Division 1 straight away. So that's basically how the move is, okay? From each Division 1, 2 and play in the next division down the following, next division down, all right? So they don't go down all the way and they don't get promoted. See, the two teams in most point are promoted from each Division 2 and 3 of the KFL and play the next division up. So that's how they move. So they move is something like this. The movement is the movement is something like this level. So you can only move this way from here to here. This is the move that can happen. You can move that way, or you can move the other way, which is here to here. There is no cross straight away all the way up there. All right, there's only this way down or up. Okay, that's the movement pattern that you need to understand. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. This one is like World Cup basis. Each one fight each other. So you have, this is like Group 1. They all these clubs. Remember, all teams. This means all teams. All team means you have 18 teams here. 18, 18, 18. You're going to get about, let me see, total of how many teams here? So you're going to have so you got about 54 teams fight here. So the first one is going to be 54 will fight. After 54 fight, you should have left off I think you should have 27 teams. Then they kind of fight off. Okay, so basically they fight until they drop down from 27. I don't know, you should have about maybe 14 teams here, and then you move down. That's a bit odd, but the calculation comes down to something like this. You might have then, maybe 7 teams or something like that. And then it might come down to last, it's just dropping downwards down, all the numbers falling downwards only. So you might down to like maybe 3 or something like that, and then you come down to maybe the last 2, okay, the winner or something like that. Something in that basis of reducing balance each time. They play each other, the winner progress. So 54 play each other, they are selected, they play each other, and then they see who's the winner. The winner moves forward. From the 54, there will be 27 people win. 54 teams fight, the 27 will win, and then they keep moving downwards that way. That's the way it should be going. Okay, this could be like 4, 2, and then last one you should have 1. Okay, that's the sequence of events that something will happen for this this flow that you can see for this company, okay, or this sector. This is another competition. This is everybody fight with everybody else. Okay, now then you have the international competition. Okay, the top 3 teams in Division 1, the top 3 teams in Division 1 will also play Ocean International League along with the most successful team from other countries there. Playing in Ocean League, International League means company club can earn revenue from having their home games and from having their matches in International League broadcast live. So as a company, you really want to get this thing inside your pocket, isn't it? You really want to make sure you have this, remember, top 3 in Division 1. Okay, they will not only earn money from, they will also earn money from earnings from ocean exposure. Okay, so you do have this international exposure, and this international exposure will help you earn more. You can get more fans, global fan base. Okay, that's one. You also earn more money from higher TV exposure. So you do get that value there for getting yourself into an international type arrangement. So those are possible things. You get that. Okay, now let's move on. Other teams, okay, women's first team of professional club play in KLand Women's Football League, KWFL, which has 2 divisions with 18 teams in each division. Not all clubs have a women's team. Teams in the KWF also play domestic cup competition. Reserve and under 18s have their own competition. So there are, we can say, other markets to perform. There's not only the men's market. Men's market is the most lucrative market because it is the one where you get the most income. But there's also the women's segment, and then the reserve segment and under 18 segment. So they have their own competition. So each of the 4, remember 1, 2, 3, 4 have 1, 2, 3, 4 have their own competition. So remember, women have 2 divisions. This is men. Okay, this is men. Women have their own division 1 and 2. That's it. Okay, they have division 1 and 2. And the reserve and under 18 have their own competitions. They have their own competitions. Okay, we don't know which competition. They didn't give enough details. This one also have their own competitions. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, and this is 3. So these are the market structure and how you end up. Now, the industry body. Okay, here you got KFL is governed by KLand Football Association, KFA. The KFA enforces the playing and other regulation of the KFL. Other regulation includes, okay, you have a term here that you should be aware of. The term here refers to the financial fair play. This is a very important word. See page 5. The KFA recommends that clubs follow generally accepted. Here's another point that you should be aware of. That clubs follow generally accepted corporate governance best practice. Well, which kind of means that your club should have the standard recommendations of corporate governance. What is the standard recommendation for corporate governance? Okay, let's make sure you are aware of that. Not here. Okay, you should be aware of that. There's 2 points here. The first point is the club should have. A club should have, well, if you talk about the standard practice, you should have all the chairman, CEO. Okay, you should then have the next one would be the committees. You should have the idea of NEDs. Okay. Those are the common items that you should have inside the board of directors, because they already say you must follow corporate governance best practice. That's the assumption that you don't need to be a listed company to be following. You do need to have the standard one. Now, KFA regulation must comply with requirements of ocean and world football governing bodies. So they themselves have to comply with any changes there. Now, if there's a change here, World Football Governing Bodies or Ocean Football Governing Bodies, KFA will have to adjust their rules, which means the rules will affect this. So there's a lot of compliance aspect in this business. You need to pay attention whether that causes a risk for the business. This compliance is usually something related to risk of non-compliance. That's a big issue that you have to be careful with. So you do have to pay attention to that risk. Okay. Let's move on. Now, football sector information. Okay, this is the income side of the business. So when we say the income side, clubs' income and expenditure, you got professional clubs' main source of income are as follows. You got the prize money, okay, paid by league based on position in which the team finishes their division. At the end of the season, teams can also earn prize money by winning matches in Domestic Cup and Ocean International League Cup. So this is the prize you get. Okay, remember the prize you get, prize money, if you win. Okay, simple. If you win, you get prize money. If you don't win, you don't get. Okay, now you can win the three types of competition: the league, the domestic cups, and also the international cups. So three levels you can compete with and earn money. Ticket sales, that's the most important one. Okay, supporters either pay to attend individual match or pay a season ticket, allowing them to attend all matches at the club. Now this is kind of important. Single day ticket. You have a single day ticket sales, okay, and you also have another one called seasonal tickets. Now, when we say seasonal tickets, you need to be aware whether it's worthwhile for the company to sell a seasonal ticket to their staff, to the fans, and whether that is cheaper. This is going to be some kind of calculations you need to be aware of. This could be done, remember, if you do not have enough, I repeat, you do not have enough cash flow or income, you may want to cover your costs. You may send seasonal tickets to be recognized. Now, the seasonal ticket income should be spread over time, but the cash flow comes in earlier. So you need to think about that idea of cash flow versus the income. Seasonal tickets may be sold cheaper because you're selling one shot everything. So this will usually be there's possibility of it being cheaper than standalone. Okay, could be cheaper than standalone. So be aware of that idea. Other match day income, including sales of refreshment, letting out hospitality boxes in which friends and corporate clients can be entertained and given food and drinks before and after match. Okay, now do understand the difference between this idea of sales of refreshment, that's foods being sold on the day of the match, and hospitality box is a special box where you have like good seats and people can sit there and watch the game. If you want to have a good understanding of this, you may want to watch a little bit of the show called Ted Lasso. Apple has a nice show called Ted Lasso. You might want to watch that one for understanding a bit more on the football game. That is a nice, interesting way of looking at the game. You also have transfer fee, income from sale of player to other clubs. This is something you either make a gain or loss. This one you have to consider whether you have you're willing to let go of talent. Okay. Now be careful. There was an interesting movie here called Moneyball. Okay, there was an interesting movie here called Moneyball. Which basically highlighted the use of statistics and analytics to select players for sale and use. And that is an interesting idea you may want to consider, given that there is some similarity in the business. So here is where big data was used. This movie, you can get this movie to, you can see this movie for getting an appreciation of the whole thing. But Moneyball was baseball game. Remember, it was a baseball game. But the concept would be the same. You could probably get the most popular player, or you could use statistics to find out which one is a good player. So you can find out using economic and statistics. That is big data, and data mining and all that comes in. Income from advertising and commercial sponsorship. Advertising commercial sponsors can advertise around club stadium. In addition, commercial sponsor can have their company name shown on the player's shirt and can use the image of the club's brand or players in their own marketing material. So this is getting them to promote the materials. Okay, some clubs have sold naming right to commercial sponsors so that their stadiums or other facilitators are named after the sponsor. So they can even sell the stadium naming rights. Most contracts with commercial sponsor last for 2 to 5 years. This is important. Which contracts naming rights generally can be longer. So this part, do be aware of that contract and whether the contract can expire or not. I think this is an important idea for you, because you may have to think about how to build relationship. You may have to consider how to build relations with the sponsor, because you're going for a long-term relationship, 2 to 5 years, and also how to attract advertisers, and those are things you have to consider. And also naming rights. Sometimes you do not have money to raise to create your, remember, you don't have money for your stadium. You can sell the naming rights and you can sell the spots available for your stadium as a basis of doing this. So this could be income you could earn. Now let's move on to the other income. Income from sale of club merchandise. Clubs sell merchandise branded club identity, official replica kit, primary replica shirts in same colors, have the same design as the kits the club's first team wears. Fake kits are imitations of official but do not have official marks which show they are genuine, are sold by unauthorized retailers. So this is something you need to know, that there is a kind of some risk here. There is some risk to your brand, or risk to sales of merchandise. Okay, there is a risk because you got fakes. Clubs also sell other merchandise, including their clothing, home item, children product, accessory. Merchandise is sold in clubs, in other retail such as major store and foreign countries on the club website. So this is just products that this is supplementary income for the club. Remember, this is supplementary income, but this has a kind of cost to it because you have to buy and resell. You're buying the thing from somebody and reselling it. That's one of the things you should be aware of. Now, income from hosting events other than football, for example, sports, music, concert. So remember, during the off-peak period, I think during the off-peak period, the stadium can be used for concerts. You know, they can have concert or they can have a conference. So the stadium facility could be rented out. So you should understand that idea of how to earn money from that part. Now, television broadcasting income. Income is from deal with a television company in KLN, awarding it exclusive right to broadcast league and domestic cup matches. Club receive an agreed amount of income each season. Now pay attention to this part. This one is already negotiated each season, plus extra income depending on how often they appear in matches which are televised live. The terms of television contract are negotiated by a representative of KFL, and clubs in the KFL are bound by collective contract. Okay, this tells you one thing. You don't have negotiating power. KFL already negotiated on your behalf with all the TV station. Club with the men's first team in Division 1 of KFL receive a higher income from the deal than clubs with the teams in lower divisions. So maybe this is done by, remember, this is controlled by KFL. So this is a discriminatory income share. You just have to be aware it's a discrimination. Clubs in Division 1 get a higher income. Clubs in Division 2 to get lower income. Television channel income. Clubs can also receive subscription advertising income from running their own channel. So this is a way they kind of break away. And you can see this part. They run their own channel. This looks like forward integration by clubs. Correct? They kind of run their own channel. Which kind of means they try to earn more money from, instead of going through to the television broadcasting income, they have their own television channel. This kind of implies that they have the ability to do something with the TV channel as an alternative. So do be careful to this part. They have their own TV channel income. So these are all the income that the company earns. Now, this is income available in the sector. Not necessary, it's the same as all the other players. Now have a look at this part. Football sector information. Club's main expenditure includes employee salary and benefit, which is a big one. Amortization cost, transfer fee for buying players represented capital expenditure. Transfer fees are capitalized at fair value of the fee. Capitalized transfer fee are then amortized on straight line basis over the period of the player's contract. This is IAS 38. Okay. Profit and loss on disposal of each player is calculated as the difference between sales proceed and carrying amount of players after amortization. So you may need to know how many players you're carrying, purchased players that you're carrying, what's their current carrying amount, and then what's their market value for transfer. So there will be a transfer window. Remember, there might be a transfer window. You do need to look at the amortization cost, see whether you need to cut down the cost or something. Then you may have to analyze it and figure out which player to transfer. Now remember, which player to transfer shouldn't be just a simple decision of which one is the most expensive and which one is more cheapest. You do need to look at how they contributed to your game, what's the potential, whether you have some replacement in hand. Now, stadium and facilities. You got property running costs, depreciation of property, plant, equipment. Okay. Match day costs, your catering, your security, includes police and club stewards. Keyword, volunteers who help supporters and assist in maintaining order. Then you got your television channel cost of running your own channel. And then you got your finance cost if you have loans. So they have given you the standard item that goes into the P&L of the club. You know what is the P&L of the club. Then you can cross compare with what appears. Remember, this can be compared against now. There is a high chance you're going to get something with financing in this question. There's very high chance because the amount of information they've given on costs and income indicates that they are considering this issues quite detailed, financials and all that. So exam question can ask you things on the break-even of issues. Break even could come in easily. You know, what is the break even pricing, break even costing, how much should I sell something? They can also ask you things such as your cash flow issues. They can ask you about the compliance issues. Okay, these are all possible ideas that come in because they've given you quite a detailed income and expense, and you do have to consider what the other company has. Now, over here, you got the next part. So, financial fair play regulation, FFPR, are designed to stop professional football clubs from spending more than they earn trying to achieve success, meaning you buy a lot of expensive players to get wins, and then it's not fair. So they're trying to create a system that stops you from doing that. Okay, so therefore stops them getting financial difficulty that may jeopardize their existence. So this is more about sustainability of the business, whether your business can sustain. FFPR apply to clubs' relevant earning, which are not identical to accounting profit, right? So the one that you see here is called accounting profits. When you do this tree, is basically accounting profit. When you come here, they're giving you another type of calculation. So you have this idea called relevant income and relevant expense. Okay, now let's look at the relevant income. You got your prize money. You got your ticket sales and other match day receipt. You got TV revenue, income from selling ads, merchandise sales, profit on disposal of tangible non-current asset, and profit on sale of players. Okay, those are all your income. Your cost that you're allowed to deduct is your salaries, your amortization or transfer costs, loss on disposal of tangible non-current asset, loss on sale of players. You got your finance cost. Pay attention, dividend has been included here also. This is very important because you need to see the club and their ability to pay, and also whether the dividends have been important for the owners. So FFPR allow each club to have relevant expense exceeding relevant income for a maximum of 5 million calculated over a 3-year period. Okay, they have given you a formula here how they calculate this, and you do have to understand the calculation. Now, when we do this calculation, you do need to look at the picture here. So let me just do a simple picture here for you in terms of a spreadsheet and show you how this works actually. So when we do this, you can see the FFPR calculations. Let me just show you this. You got year and income. So I'll put year here. And I'm going to put the relevant income. Total relevant earnings. Relevant earnings and total relevant earnings. Okay, we'll have relevant earnings. Now remember, the relevant earnings have been told you how to calculate, and this is the total relevant earning. So here, year 1, 2, 3, they kind of gave you quite a number of years here. They gave you until year 6. Okay, they showed you until year 6. 4, 5, 6, and then they said, look, this one is 25. This is minus 20. And you had 17. Then you had minus 1, and then you had minus 2, minus 4. So you had minus 2, and you had minus 4. Now, they count this on a 3-year basis. So remember, it's a 3-year basis, 3 years. So they count this on a 3-year cycle. So here they don't count, no counting, no counting. This is the first one. They go something like the sum of all of this. You should get 22. Your relevant earnings is okay. Remember, the limit is -5. Then you go something like this. Can you see this? This is how it goes. It should be something like this. So you should get 4, 14, and 17 is because the numbers are always backtracking by 3 years. Got it? So in this case, of course, limit is 5 million, and this one not relevant, not relevant. Pass, pass, because it's still not yet 5 million. This is pass, and this is failed. Okay, this is where you get failed and you might get sanctioned. So that's basically what they have shown there. I hope you understand the mathematics that was involved in this calculation. So, penalties for breaching FFPR include fine, loss of points, loss of prize money, not being allowed to compete in KLM Domestic Cup or Ocean International League competition, and relegation to lower division are very serious. So this is not something that you should take lightly. The company must make sure they are complying with this. So you will have a chance, high chance, you might be given the relevant earnings and asked to consider. Remember, this is example calculation. You might get the question and asked to discuss this issue, or what if the company is in breach, or how they avoid the breach. So here, how to avoid the breach, you go back here and then you consider what you do here. And in terms of how to avoid the breach, you might then consider how to maximize your relevant income, or you want to reduce your relevant expenses before it happens. So here becomes a strategic decision, a strategic issue to be taken in. Why is it a strategic issue to be taken into account? Because this is a 3-year rotating issue. So you must think what will happen in year 2, year 3 ahead. You can't just wait for it to happen. So you must plan for it. You must make sure your profit and your relevant income stays, or relevant earnings stays within that threshold target and not fall below the threshold target, because you have a significant impact on the business. So this one, I would say, you might get into a risk assessment. Later on, we'll do a bit of risk assessment for this question, but you can see that this is a significant risk to take into account. Significant risk to consider. Okay, this is a very big risk that you have to consider for the business. And you have to think about whether or not the company can meet this risk issues and whether that risk could affect the business. The next one, we're moving on from the calculation. So you are clear about the idea of FFPR calculations. So this is the FFPR financial computations. Okay, this one again depend on the question. You will probably have to do this in spreadsheet. They might give it to you and then you have to assess it, and they might give you forecasts. Like, they might say, okay, we're going to do forecasts. This is year 7, year 8, and year 9. Okay, and then they say, okay, we're going to have 10 here. We suspect we're going to end 10. This is going to be like minus 6, minus 5, and then we're going to say this one is going to be minus 7. So what happens here? You're still safe. Can you see now? If you earn this much, you're still safe. But what's going to happen on the 10th here? Look at what's going to happen here. You're already minus 12, and you therefore must earn at least 7 here to sustain. You can see 7 also not enough. You must get 8. So that tells you target. See, when you have a problem like this, you know this year you're going to be in trouble, so you have to have a target of 8. That target is the one that I think you will have to do in the exam. Identify target, how to ballpark your strategy into the target. Because if you don't, you're going to get this to minus 5 and you're going to fail, and that's going to cause a problem for the business. Let's move on. Okay, that covers this aspect. And then there's also football sector. You got media coverage. Okay, many games in KFL Division 1 are broadcast live on television. There's also considerable coverage of clubs in Division 1 newspaper and social media. In order to increase newspaper sales, journalists are very keen to obtain exclusive stories not yet covered by other newspapers about the club and players. Now, in this sense, you can say maybe a good idea to build relationship with some journalists. How to maximize the media? You do need to be aware of your if the players get ill and all that, how to manage this news, because this is going to be something that's going to be a bit major impact on the business. You also have football sector information in terms of industry. Main challenge club faces is for their men's first division to remain successful. Their men's first division to remain successful, that's the main one. This means consistently achieving high league position and performing well in Thailand domestic cup competition, so they can qualify for and hopefully do well in the Ocean International League. So you are always targeting top 3. Now, to achieve success, club makes significant expenditure in buying the best player and paying high salaries which these players demand. Clubs can have difficulty ensuring that their income is greater than expenditure. Operating profit of number of leading clubs have fallen recently, primarily due to increasing costs connected to players. So this basically highlights that the player cost is high. How do you manage the player cost? And player cost, players are also players cost high. Players are vital to achievement of success, and also so we can now come to a condition where you can use cheaper players and try to focus on the club team performance, as opposed to use premium players that are threatening and all that, and that could give you a differentiation strategy. So that's 2 ways forward. It is providing a basis for your this one, but it also affects your costing. So remember, it's one of your big cost items that you're looking at. Now, they have also identified risk analysis for the football clubs. Loss of income through poor performance by men's first division, and consequently lower match attendance by supporters and less prize money. Now, this is a big issue. Should you stay focused on the first division itself, men's, and you may want to consider other divisions. Okay. Now, competition from other clubs for prize money, supporter, commercial sponsor, recruiting best player, management, coaching staff. Your coach, your manager, and also your players can get recruited out. Okay, problem with commercial sponsor leading to non-renewal or contract. This problem, you must make sure you have to have a solution. So this one, you do have to consider possible solutions to be held. Remember, you need to think about the possible solutions to be held. You might have to do a risk heat map. AT, so remember this is specific for AT, because this is generally all the clubs face the same kind of risk, but some clubs may have more than the other clubs. So you have to consider which one is more critical for this club. Now, the competition from other clubs, you got departure of key player or management or coaching staff to other clubs. They want to leave, or they jump to another place after their contract is over. So you have to keep an eye on the contract. Okay, loss of key player through serious injury. So this one really requires you to make sure you are also keep fall in income from television contract due to decreasing appeal of football or impact of illegal live streaming of matches. So this is one of the threats to your income sources. So there are two types here. Social trends, basically society don't want to see football and there's a decline in demand of viewership. How many people viewing the match? And piracy threat, where illegal live streaming of matches might cause a problem. Threat to income from other business-seeking sponsors, other sports and entertainment events, alternative corporate hospitality. So this one, again, we can say is like the substitutes. Incurring punishment for breaching financial fair play regulation, that one we already picked up. Damage to club brand, that could happen from any kind of poor events. Now, an example of damage to club brand could be things like your supporters. Notice your supporters behave badly, your club get damaged brand. Okay, negative media coverage on personal life of players. Keyword, negative media coverage. So you might have a news breaking about your player suddenly, you know, some bad news. What to do? This is a big question, because, you know, how will it impact the business? What will be the implication to the company? What's going to happen? Health and safety risk, that's kind of media, but the health and safety risk probably affects more of the stadium operations. Remember, the security was provided by volunteers. Security risks arising from poor behavior by supporters. Financial risks such as your interest rate risk, your exchange risk, your liquidity and solvency risk. Those are risks that you have to consider. Now, two words that they have highlighted here: liquidity and solvency. Liquidity basically means you don't have enough cash flow. That's why I highlighted earlier on. You may need to think about how to raise cash. Solvency is more about inability to pay your debt that's due. Here, this is more related to your gearing and your interest costs. Okay, those are the major risks that you have to consider. Now, of course, you have the stakeholders, and you really need to look at who are your stakeholders. In this case, there are quite a number of stakeholders that you do have to pick up. Let's look at the stakeholders that you have here. So let's look at this part. Internal stakeholders. Okay, we have something called internal stakeholders, and you have another one called external stakeholders. So here we have already identified and said, look, there are some people who are internal, some people who are external. Let's think about the internal stakeholders. Okay, the internal stakeholders that you see includes, okay, we put that manager. You got your, remember there are 4 managers, there are 4 times 4. Okay, then you have the players, you got times 4, remember, player groups. You also have coaching staff. I'm also going to say there's time 4 groups there. Then you have your other employees, that could be all your, your finance staff and all that. Then you have your directors, and you have your, okay, there's somebody called shareholders. Okay, that's your internal, and you do need to be aware of that. Then you have your supporters. They are not internal stakeholders. Remember that. Supporters are not internal stakeholders. Your retail customers, so that's another one. Then you have another one called your television, TV broadcaster. Okay, then you also have something called your commercial sponsor. Then your merchandise supplier. and you have some other people here, police and emergency services. You need to keep them happy also. They are interested in your business activity because you have this one. You got KFL. That's one of the more powerful ones, KFL, and also KFA. So these are the two people who are very powerful. They are interested in you and they have a lot of power because you live under them. Okay, now do be aware of your stakeholders. You may want to consider doing a Mendello framework analysis right now to be aware of their strengths, but you don't have enough knowledge to assess everybody's strengths and weakness. Somewhat you have. You already know players are very strong. They're very critical for the business. Then you also know the KFL, KFA are very strong also. So you know that there are two entities which are very strong here. This one, and also this one. These ones are all stronger entities. Just remember, they are stronger entities. So we know which one's strong, which one is weak, so you can at least adjust according to that issue. Okay, that's kind of critical for you to be aware of. Now, the next thing that you have there is going to be about the performance of the leading teams. Now, detail about the 8 leading teams in Division 1 for last season are as follows. 8. Okay, now, the clubs with the top 3 spots of the KFL have all moved on to new stadiums in the last 8 years. So they are highlighting something to you. They are saying, look, those who are in the top 3 spots, these 3 people here, remember these 3 people all moved on to a new stadium recently. So I'm just gonna fill that, but I'm gonna put a border here so that you can get to see this. So we know these 3 have recently moved into a new stadium. This is important news. Why is this important? So this is new stadium. Maybe the new stadium motivated them to earn money. Okay, the clubs with the top 3 teams. Okay, what are the top 3 teams? Okay, the top 3 teams in this part, especially remember this part, we are talking about this one over here. 1, 2, 3. These 3 people changed and got a new stadium recently within the last 8 years. So after getting a new stadium, they probably improved their performance significantly. And you can see even Orion Wikiberg was number 6. We don't know what it was before, number 4, number 3. So it has climbed up, and this one has stayed the same position so far. This stadium offers better facilities for supporters as well as increased capacity. Now, this is a bit of a funny thing. If you have more money coming in, you can spend more money to get better player. So do be aware of that. So think about it. If you can earn more money from your supporters, earn more from supporter, you can then use that money to kind of buy better players. If you can buy better players, then you can perform better. So it seems like the company that spends money on the stadium, they can earn more from the supporters, they can buy better players, and they can perform better. Now, 80 is not bad. Remember, we are at the 8th spot only, 5, 6, 8. We're not out yet because why? There are 18 clubs per division. They only showed the top 8. So we're not out of anything. We are kind of stable, but we're not in the top level also. We are in the border. So we're not at the bottom. We're not at the bottom. We're not at the top. We are in the middle. So we are somewhat, maybe just getting through life. But our income within the top 8, of course, we are the worst within the top 8. Now, the clubs who have built new stadiums have also managed to increase their income from hiring out facilities for non-football clubs. So they earn a lot more. The new stadiums have been built to maximize energy usage efficiency and reduce carbon footprint. Now, all of this indicates that the new stadium is a possible assessment. It's a project that might have to be considered. Remember, this is a project. So that's where the project comes in. You might get estimation of certain values, and you may have to then see whether or not you can make that money or not. So that's that project AT will have to consider. Moving down, you do have to be worried about innovation and sustainability. All clubs try to use digital media strategy to enhance their income, interest in them. Club use their own website. Okay, you know that they have their own website, so you should think about the website itself. Own website. Okay, that's one. Okay, number two, they also have their social media platform. Now, this is a quite important idea in terms of how they are generating income for you. Post news about themselves, their players, and other information. The clubs with the 4 top teams in Division 1 have their own TV channels for which supporters pay a subscription. This television channel is available to club website. So here's an add-on. Only the 4 top 4 have their own TV channel. Now, of course, evaluate whether AT should also establish their own TV channel based on this. That's one of the big questions you can ask. As of now, not yet, because you know you're not going to get enough supporters. You're not global yet. You're not global as the top 3, because they are more global. They have more global coverage. So that could be one of the things you have to consider. Now, key financial indicators, KPI. You are already given the financial, non-financial indicators, meaning we don't use balance scorecard for this question. Balance scorecard not relevant. They already gave you the KPI that you should be using. So they already told you KPIs that company will look at is revenue, player salaries, your earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, EBITDA, your relevant earning for fair play, you got cash flow, you got player sales and purchases, you got capital expenditure. So you will think about any action the company says, any action taken, how is it going to, and how so you must think about any action that your company is planning to do. How will it impact the KPI? Because the company might decide we're going to build a new stadium, we're going to invest in a TV channel. So possible ideas that you're looking at here is, remember, you might think about what the company wants to do. The company might want to do build a new stadium. Then they might say, okay, we want to possibly think about investing in academia. We're looking at maybe open TV channel. We want to abandon the men's club, close off men's club, and focus on women club. Okay, there could be all possible things that the company is thinking of doing, and then you must consider what it is. These are all options. Remember, these are all options. You got strategic position, you got strategic options, and then you got strategic implementation. So your exam question can come from the strategic option side. Like, these are few options. Your question could come from, we have already decided to build a new stadium. How are we going to do this? Or we have already decided to do a TV channel. How are we going to do this? And how will it affect your KPI? What are the factors? Which KPI we have to pay more attention to, or we should be careful with? Non-financial KPI, league position of men's first team and other teams, so your position there. Average match attendance as a percentage of stadium capacity. You got number of season ticket holders. Quite important, that one. You might think about marketing here. This one has a clear marketing role. How do we improve our marketing so that we can increase the number of season holders? How do we improve our website? That's another question that you might get. How to improve the website? Okay, they might give you the website and say, like, here's a website. Can you tell us how to improve the website? Compliance and applicable regulation. Did you comply? Yes, no. What are the regulations? So list down all the regulations. Did you comply? Okay, this is the football industry as we see it.